It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're joining us in the second half of America's Voice Now, right here today. It's Thursday, the 20th of February, and we are going to discuss during this segment how the DHS has canceled their kind of interesting license plate tracking program where they were threatening to monitor the license plates of all Americans. And what was kind of interesting about that was they were doing it under the claim that it was really to follow illegal immigrants. Huh? Don't you think we could stop that by just not issuing them driver's licenses? I mean, let's be candid here. If they didn't have driver's licenses, they probably, I'm not saying they would, none of them would drive cars, but I'm saying that at least those who are trying to live within the framework of the country that they've snuck into would not be driving cars. But I think after a lot of public noise, Homeland Security Secretary, the new secretary, by the way, Jay Johnson, who's another dangerous man, he ordered the cancellation of the plan. And originally this was put out by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, another administrative agency. Now, there is some argument to be made for the fact that Border Security or Border Patrol and Customs Enforcement have a right to exist under the Constitution because those are some of the constitutionally delegated powers, there's 26 of them if we recall, that are authorized to exist under the federal mantle. The rest are reserved to the states and to the people themselves, if you recall your 10th Amendment. And in this case, they determined that they were going to develop a national license plate tracking system where any representative of law enforcement or any other agency could simply take their, NSA tracking device, right? And they would be able to go up there and go clickety and snap a picture of your plate and then step back or pull the zoom back and go clickety and get a picture of your vehicle. The idea, of course, was that they'd build this massive database of every license plate in every car in the country eventually. I mean, it'll only take us a little while. And if we combine that with all of the red light cameras that we've got in every city and all of the surveillance equipment we've got at all parking garages and all of these other locations around these vast array of surveillance equipment that we've got deployed around the United States, turning us into, for all intents and purposes, a military police state, then it won't be long before we'll have an entire database of virtually every vehicle on the road in the U.S. Well, a lot of privacy advocates came out and said, whoa, hold on a minute there, cowboy. Well, the truth is that they came out yesterday and said that they were going to cancel the solicitation for a bid. In other words, what happens is they solicit a bid out there on the web, and companies that are interested in providing this service at a government contracted rate would go out there and build this database for them and give them the ability to snap the picture and auto-upload it and so forth and so on. And so they withdrew the bid. And amazingly enough, get this one, they say that, quote, the solicitation, which was posted without the awareness of ICE leadership has been canceled. You're kidding me. You mean to tell me this is the work of another rogue agent in maybe Cincinnati? Jillian Christensen, who's the ICE spokeswoman, went on to say, while we continue to support a range of technologies to help meet our law enforcement mission, this solicitation will be reviewed to ensure the path forward appropriately meets our operational needs. The next line in the story, and this is in the Washington Post, says, lawmakers reacted with approval. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Lawmakers reacted with approval. You see, if the lawmakers really cared, if they were really doing their job, they would go to ICE and they'd say, since you guys have been given conflicting orders, in other words, you have a mandate to stop all border transgression and to find and detain and deport all of those people that you find here. But the Obama administration and the Department of Justice have overruled that and said, no, we're going to selectively prosecute, and most of these people should just be cut loose. Shh. Shh. Don't say it publicly. We don't want them to know. The truth is, if government was doing its job and Congress was doing its job, they would utilize those same purse strings they brag about all the time to choke the budget and demand that ICE either do their job or fade away. Or be replaced with an agency that might actually do what it's constitutionally required to do. I am really tired. I'm really tired of traitors and liars and political gamesmen. I mean, doesn't anyone really recognize what we're living with for what it really is? I mean, we're not really foolish enough to believe for a moment, right, that ICE didn't know that this particular group was going to be out there floating a bid for the police state. You don't really believe that, do you? Rep. Benny Thompson from Mississippi, he's a Democrat. Kudos to him for having the courage to come out and say this. He said, the fact that the solicitation was posted without knowledge of ICE leadership, which kind of indicates he believes them, or at least he's giving them plausible cover, but highlights a serious management problem within this DHS component that currently does not have a director nominated by the president. So in a backhanded way, he slapped DHS and then said, but that's because we don't have a director nominated by the president. I give up because it's so apparent to me that the people that are involved in ruling our country have zero integrity, zero honor, zero commitment to their constitutional oath, zero commitment to the benefit of the nation as a whole, that I call for the replacement of each and every single one of them. What I want to see is all of these disparate, patriotic, constitutional organizations and groups. And I'm talking about the Tea Party, and I'm talking about the people on the Convention of the States side, and I'm talking about the people who come from the independent side, and I'm talking about the people who are libertarians and Constitution Party people. And I want all of you to collectively get together and put some resources behind this, i.e. money, and collectively go to the Koch brothers if you need to and ask them for $500 million or whatever it is that you think you need. And let's begin to put together a coalition of people. Now, we need 435 to replace the existing House members, and they have to come from each of the respective districts within the state. And we need 100 to replace the entire Senate. Then we're going to need about 250 to replace those people who are the heads of the administrative agencies that have no constitutional authority to exist. We can't just blink them out of existence. Then we need roughly 1,000 to replace the 9 black-robed knuckleheads who pretend that they actually are the final arbiters of our Constitution, and the remainder to replace all of the federal judges that are currently sitting. No, you don't have to have a law degree. In fact, I would actually suggest that perhaps you shouldn't have one to be a federal judge. Then we need to have all of those people sign a contract with America that says, if I betray any of the constitutional principles and I vote for any bill that hasn't been approved or read by me, or there is anything that comes before me that doesn't have constitutional foundational existence, or if I refuse to give up my seat at the election we're going to be holding briefly, then in advance you have my resignation letter. And all you have to do is sign and date it. Co-sign and date it. Now, the truth is, there are a lot of really good patriotic people in this nation. I believe that. And I believe that they exist in every county of the 3,000, whatever there is, 3,200 counties in the nation. 3,069 comes to mind, but I could be wrong about that. Roughly 3,000 counties. And the truth is that unless we completely dismantle the treason that is being accomplished day in and day out as the enemy surrounds us, to go back to my earlier Chesty Puller analogy, we don't really have a chance to stop the path that we're headed down. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not recognized it yet for yourself, this path is leading us to an ever-degrading condition of emergency. For the record, I read something not so long ago created by, I think his name was Frank Church, but it was the Church Commission on the permanent state of emergency that the United States is in. And we've been in a permanent but unlifted state of emergency since about 1933. And the idea is that with the state of emergency that we currently have now, the president, under a published statement of a declaration of emergency, he doesn't have to declare a new one, he just has to express the fact that there is one, for all intents and purposes becomes a single dictator with a Congress that has at this point been so well trained to do as they're told that you don't even need the paper anymore. All you got to do is shake your hand, and they jump right to line. Our nation is falling at an accelerated rate. Have you not noticed the speed, the alacrity, the pressure from every side? Every facet of the diamond has pressure upon it. And when you apply that kind of pressure and you uniformly press on every facet of the diamond, even though it may be the hardest substance known to man, it will eventually break. We're in a declining state of liberty and freedom. And this may be controversial to some. But make no mistake about it, unless we replace everyone in Washington sending a very strong message to our state governments that this will be your fate if you do not live by the constitutional restrictions that we have allocated to you via our power of attorney, then we will shortly see this nation descend into a level of tyranny and repression and oppression that the world has never known. And what we're going to see is an interesting conundrum. The nation that was, for all intents and purposes, known as the most free, liberty-minded nation in all of human history will now become the most oppressive. I don't understand why people don't see it. I mean, I get it. The evidence is circumstantial. But with literal mountains of it, and willful knowledge and intent of the past intentions of the criminal element that's building this disaster, we shouldn't have any concerns whatsoever about what their real intentions are. There's an article out in the New American, and another great website, The New American. And Director of Intelligence Clapper came out the other day, and I published an article about this, in which he claims surprise because, he basically was stating that we probably should have told America what we were doing back in after 9/11, and then we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't be having all of this angst about us spying on America. Well, the truth of the matter is, his mea culpa, if you want to call it that, doesn't really hold water. I mean, Clapper's a known liar. He lied to Congress. He's been lying to us. He's a liar for a living. That's what he does. He's the epitome of the term spook. So I got to wonder how long it took for the drone speechwriters at the NSA to cook up the faux crow that was eaten by him. The truth is, everything the man says, and you can attribute this to guys like Harry Reid, Obama, Nancy Pelosi, John Boehner, Cantor, the whole lot of them. Everybody in the Justice Department, Eric Holder and his minions, It all amounts to this. Capital B, capital S. You can call it what you want, and you can cover it up with a lot of fancy stuff. But I use one word that covers it all. Treason. 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 And unlike Mr. Obama, I'm not going to give you any caveats to that. When I say period, I mean period. I promise I won't go back and try to skate my way out of it later. Our nation cannot afford any more treason. It's time that we did the right thing, America. So I'm calling on all of you organizations out there to put your money where your mouth is. And stop trying to slice it and dice it between this Republican who might be loyal and this one who sounds a little bit more loyal than the last one. And let's just find replacements for the entire whole lot of them. And then send them a very clear message. We have built a standalone, unified, new government of the new constitutional republic of the United States of America. And y'all have 24 hours or less to vacate. Those who are found here after 24 hours will be arrested and held indefinitely until we have determined that your war on terror of us is over. That's how I really feel about it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.